India is among the top producer of drugs both in terms of value and volume.
The person who are touching your cargo
Yes.
has to be made sensitized.
Correct.
These are medicines for the mankind.
If you're not into this era of digital transformation, you would be actually left behind.
What are some of the major bottlenecks you see in today's operations?
That challenge will always be there, has been there for more than 2 decades, had been there in past, will be there in future as well.
Good day everyone and welcome to this special edition of Trinex podcast on pharma and logistics, healthcare logistics, proudly brought to you by Cargo Talk and Triton Logistics and Maritime. I am Jiten Shrivastava, CEO of Triton Logistics and Maritime, and I'll be the moderator for today's session. India somehow describes itself as the pharmacy to the world, and rightly so. As the world's largest supplier of low-cost generics and drugs and vaccines and affordable medicines, India is among the top producer of drugs both in terms of value and volume. Our pharmaceutical sector plays a very vital role in global healthcare, delivering life-saving medications across continents. However, with this leadership position also comes a need for a very robust and efficient supply chain. Our topic today, opportunities and challenges in pharma and healthcare logistics, holds long-term implications for the entire industry. Through this conversation, we aim to explore how the logistics industry can enhance supply chain resilience while meeting the global demand which is growing for healthcare products. I'm fortunate to be joined by an outstanding panel of experts today and the industry leaders of today, which bring a wealth of experience and insight on the table. We have structured today's discussion in such a way as to focus on specific areas of expertise, allowing us to cover a wide range of subjects and topics. First, we have Mr. Devang Vyas, the Global Logistics Head of Glenmark Pharmaceuticals. Devang has been at the forefront of tackling the challenges posed by the cold chain logistics, an area that demands precision, innovation, and optimization, especially in the pharma sector. Next, we have Mr. Vijay Shetty, Senior Vice President and Global Head of Supply Chain and Distribution with Alchem Laboratories. Vijay is a seasoned expert in pharma distribution channels, and his expertise spans across evaluating and managing partnerships while ensuring compliance with both local and international regulations. Pharma distribution is evolving, and his insight on how companies can stay ahead of the curve is very crucial. And last but not least, Mr. Mehul Gandhi, who is the Customer Business Partner Supply Chain for Pharma Division of Bayer India, who brings deep knowledge of supply chain bottlenecks and the emerging trends in the pharma sector. With supply chain becoming increasingly complex, improving end-to-end visibility and adopting digital technologies have become critical. Mehul's perspective will help us to understand how to navigate these challenges effectively. So we'll start with Devang first and discuss about the cold chain logistics, a vital area for maintaining product integrity. We'll move on to Vijay, who will shed insight on the distribution channels and compliances. And finally, we'll hear from Mehul about the emerging trends and operational bottlenecks in the pharma supply chain. So Devang, cold chain logistics is one of the most critical and cost-sensitive aspects of pharma logistics. Could you start by walking us through some of the key challenges you face in managing cold chain logistics?
Hi Jitendra, thanks for conducting this forum and having this kind of panel. Coming back to the cold chain challenges and the objectives. See today, by and large, in the last 5 years, we have seen that there has been a tremendous work done by all the stakeholders, be it the transporters, manufacturing plants, creating that kind of sensitivity, trainings that has been conducted at the mass levels, and the channel partners which are engrossed in this thing, like as I mentioned, the manufacturing plant, the transporters, the audits that you conduct for all those partners that you onboard into your channel, the airport authorities, the shipping lines. So by and large, there has been a lot of awareness which has been created by handling the cold chain because, like you pointed out, Glenn, India wants to become a big pharma partner for the world on the sustainable availabilities. Uh, Still, there are certain gray areas which the pharma manufacturers or the, I would say, the partners are doing some kind of upscaling. There is some sort of skill generations which are going around, and there is a lot of work still at the background, which is still at a mass level that people are doing it to avoid the excursions, to avoid on I would say the pharma is supplied within the sensitive temperature range,
Yeah.
and we have seen a lot of success, I would say, comparatively to what we were 5 years back and today what we are. There are a lot of levers which are available. Just to give you one more perspective, there are today temperature sensitive data loggers which are available that can
Yes.
throw notifications to you for you to react at an appropriate time.
Correct.
So these were some of the enablers which were not available in the past. Today are available.
Very true.
What we call it as an active data loggers versus the passive data loggers.
Correct.
So these are some of the effective work which has been done by the community on those parts.
And I think the whole cold chain in itself means that it has to be a chain. And if you break it anywhere, and
Exactly.
then it is not a cold chain per se.
Exactly.
And the integrity of the product is very important. And
Correct.
I remember during my times when I was handling cold chain, it was always that by looking at the product, you cannot make it out whether it has been exposed to that temperature or not. And I have seen you maintain the whole cold chain, and then from the distributor to the retailer, or from the retailer to the chemist, they just put it on a 45-degree temperature on an open tempo and then bring it here, and these guys put it into the fridge. So we as a consumer, when we take it, we think that the whole cold chain is there, but then we say that the medicine is not effective. But the problem is that somewhere you broke the chain completely.
So, like you pointed out, the consumers are today also so aware that they will look at the label claim
Correct.
when they buy the product, and they will try to read the leaflets which are there available inside the product. So they also make sure that the effective cold chain, effectiveness has been maintained all throughout the chain.
That's true. That's true, sir. So, what strategies do you use to optimize cold chain logistics experience?
Okay, on the strategy part, I will go back. We do a lot. There is a process-driven things which has been widely adopted by everyone. Audits are one of the things, like I mentioned. Pre-auditing the vendor, the supplier, the stakeholder, the partner who is working with you very closely, and creating that kind of skill sets enables you to ensure that the cold chain is adhered all throughout the chain, right from manufacturing till the distribution point.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is one of the core area. I would say that the SOPs, the processes has to be very robust. There are certain times that you have to do certain kind of risk assessment.
Mm-hmm.
This is the another area which has
Correct.
come up where you can think about anything that can go wrong.
Yes.
Transformer can go wrong into the truck of the transporters. Then what are the
Exactly.
things? Will he give that kind of sensors which are available in their truck?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have that kind of adaptability to provide a immediate vehicle
Yeah.
within
That's
the
right.
supply chain, because he will be in some part of the on the road.
Correct.
So how immediately he is able to react to that particular damage, and the effectiveness he can bring in.
Mm-hmm.
The second part is similar goes in the supply chain where your cargo has been attended at the tarmac.
Mm-hmm.
Tarmac is the area which is a very great today.
Correct.
Despite doing all the efforts, this is where we are still thriving. We are trying to partner with all the partners at the CSC, at the airport authorities, MIAL or DIAL or whatever we say.
Mm-hmm.
So we are trying to engage with them. There is a lot of awareness. Today, if I were to tell you, prior to this, they used to carry the cargo at the airport. It was 3 hours or 4 hours in advance.
Mm-hmm.
Today, there is a lot of awareness created for them that they should pull it out at least 2 hours in advance.
Correct.
So by doing that thing, at least you are able to maintain the efficacy of the product
Mhm.
at the tarmac. Because when you pull it out from a temperature zone, which is like 20 degrees or something like
Yeah,
that thing,
that's right.
it will still able to breathe over there. And by the time you load it into the aircraft, it is still a particular range would be there. It is not
Mhm.
exceeding 25 or
Mhm.
26, that kind of thing. So there is a lot of work which has been done over here. Yes, there are certain times like Even when you go for a particular season, like nobody anticipated there could be this kind of rainfall in Dubai,
Yeah, right.
which they never experienced in the last 75,
Exactly.
80 years.
Exactly.
So there are things which are beyond your control.
That's true.
But despite that thing, things are rolling.
Yeah. And moreover, we are not just talking about one country here. We are talking about several geographies.
Exactly.
Every geography has got different challenges which is throwing up.
Exactly.
A movement into Africa could be very different from movement into, say, US or Latin. No?
Yeah.
So you have to keep those things in mind when you are doing it. I mean, one of the example I remember that there was a data logger reading when it was taken. So it was supposed to be between 1525, and there was an excursion of around 70 degree into that, and it was like a case study for us that where it could be 70 degree possible, and then we came to know that the guy who took it off from the aircraft, he put it right below the engine, so it was exposed there for a while, and there you see it.
So when it's very close to the propeller,
yeah,
it will shoot up like anything.
exactly.
That gives a lot of green effect.
Correct.
So when they have that kind of green effect, and it will shoot up like anything, and it will be bare minimum of 2 or 3 minutes or 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
It goes over there. But again, over here, the thing what people has to understand is what is the mean kinetic.
Yeah.
The mean kinetic of that particular data logger also makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Exactly.
on top of it, today there is a lot of thrive on the stability data.
Correct.
So you will be working on those stability data, how the product behaves, because when you are delivering a product passes through different temperatures, different geographies,
True.
different zones. So definitely a product has to go with that robust stability data also,
Right.
which will be from 0 degrees to 40 or 45 degrees.
Yes, perfect.
Because in the last 3 to 5 years, the temperatures are soaring.
Yes.
Today nobody experienced heat in the Europe.
Mm-hmm.
People are dying over
Yeah,
there.
it's like
So all those things keeps changing. So you also need to be more innovative and find the ways how you can develop
definitely, I 100% agree with you. And how are you adapting to the changes in consumer demand for temperature sensitive products?
Okay, so on the consumer side, today we have started introducing thermal covers which are more robust, tested, and verified kind of thing. We do a lot of protocol studies for those temperature covers. There are thermal covers which are single layer. There are thermal covers which come with a multi-layer also,
Yes.
with a bubble wrap kind of thing. On top of it, there is a sustained solution called as a PCM based, that is phase change material, which are box pallets. Again, here you will get both the kinds of thing, that is for the 2 to 8 degree and for the 15 to 25 also.
Correct.
So these are also very verified, tested, and there is a lot of study which we do it on mapping for all the 3 zones. So you can keep all those things outside for some time, and then you can verify when you work with the vendors and the suppliers. So all these also helps you a lot as in when you do that kind of activities.
Yeah. So more of a passive solutions, where we are talking
Exactly.
about.
So I would say the thermal covers are more of a passive.
Yeah.
The PCM based is hybrid.
Okay.
We can call it as a. Apart from that, there is an active solution. The Innovators,
Yeah,
that kind of
Innovators are
things
there,
are there.
yeah, exactly.
But they come with a cost.
Yeah,
so
of course.
maybe everyone will have their own choice.
Correct.
How do they want to use which of the solutions which are available?
Yeah, and I think the thermal packaging or the passive solutions has really improved a lot in the last decade or last 5 years.
And if you want to go deep dive, you can also look at your packaging solutions, like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
brown shippers that you work up around.
That's true.
These also are today coming with a breathable solutions.
Yes.
There are certain kind of plastic coated, so they are more durable in the nature, that can beat all the seasonalities also. So there are so many solutions today available. Only the thing is that I would say constantly trainings are very important. The person who are touching your cargo
Yes.
has to be made sensitized. Look, guys,
Correct.
these are medicines for the mankind, for the human consumption. So we need to treat it in a more robust way.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah, that's right. The only flip side which I could see is that the passive has got a time limitation. So you have to do it within that time frame.
72 hours.
72 hours.
Okay,
So-
sure.
So there is a way to deal with that also today.
Mhm.
If I just want to, I would say my experience or what I have seen, there are pallets which are covered with the thermal covers.
Mhm.
There are ULD covers available in the
Mhm.
market
Okay.
that can give you an advantage of double layer kind of thing.
Okay.
So your pallets are already covered with the thermal covers. On top of it,
They
the
put
airlines
the-
can provide you ULD covers which can cover the entire ULD.
Okay.
So that will give you an extra protection
Oh, that's fantastic.
throughout the supply chain, especially at the tarmac.
Yeah, exactly. That is where it is required. No, fantastic. I mean, I understand. Vijay, distribution channels are the arteries of pharma industry. Could you share your approach to selecting and evaluating your distribution partners?
Thank you, Jitendra. First of all, uh, I'm happy to be. This is my first podcast, and I must congratulate you and your team and Cargo
Thank you.
Talks for organizing this podcast. As far as the question is concerned, with regards to distribution channel for the domestic market, we have a different kind of a strategy, and for the international market, it's a different kind of strategy. So whenever we look at any products, okay, whether it is for a branded generics or for a generic market, traditionally we have the same way of distribution flow, that okay, the products flow from your manufacturing location to your mother warehouse to your CFAs or your depots, and from depots it will go to your distributors, okay, and finally that's where your sale happens, okay. You don't control the sales happening to the retailers from the distributors. Having said that, we have this field force which actually goes to the doctors and generates a prescription. Because of that demand generation, the scale of operations starts happening into different geographies. So whenever we select any distribution partners, we first look at, in that particular market, what is the demand that is getting generated and what is our catering into that particular market. Post that, we look at the financials of the distributors, the retail coverage network which the distributor is happening, and also the similar size of companies which they are working. Basis which we will onboard the distributor and make sure they are catering to those particular markets. Okay. This is for the India business perspective. From an international business perspective, it's more again B2B. For example, let's take an example of US. We move the pharma products to our warehouse in US, and from our US facility, we move it to the different distributors who are giants there, majorly 7 to 8 distributors, and from there it actually further goes down to the value chain.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how we look at evaluating. In case of the international business, there I would not say that the evaluation process will happen, because these distributors are already set. Okay. These distributors don't only control from a landscape of distributing the products, but they also own many of the retail networks. It's within that particular entire gamut of the organization.
Okay. But for India, most of your sale happens at the distribution part. Distribution network.
Through the distribution network.
Through the
So in
distribution.
India, we have almost, for branded and generic business put together, we will have close to almost like 8,500 distributors.
Entire India. covering
Entire India. Yeah.
Okay, right. I mean, that's quite a robust system, to be at every nook and corners of India, I would guess. And how do you think that digitalization, which is happening today, is helping the pharma logistics and supply chain industry?
See, what happens is, if you're not into this era of digital transformation, you would be actually left behind. Okay.
Yes, exactly.
With the advent of lot of new modes of distribution happening, okay, whether it is, you name companies like Blinkit, Zomatos, the Swiggies of the world, okay, one can't be, I would say, looking at no change. Okay.
Yeah.
So for us at Alchem, anything which is repetitive, there's a cause for digitizing it. Okay. I'll take an India example. During COVID, we had developed a tool called Alchem Marketplace. Now, Alchem Marketplace was a tool which actually helps distributors to place in their orders through the system, and from their system we would then directly enter those orders into the SAP system.
Okay.
Earlier, what used to happen, this would all come via email. Okay. And just imagine in a business of, I would say, close to 10,000 plus crores, we almost get close to a lakh plus orders in a month. And to process that manually into
it's a
SAP,
nightmare.
it
Yeah.
used to be a nightmare.
It's a nightmare.
And typically, when you look at the sales queue, it is actually tilted towards the quarter four. Sorry, so the fourth week of the
Fourth
month
week of the
only,
month, yes.
the last week of the month, where majorly I would say you do almost 40 or 50% of your business.
Yeah, correct.
And that load today, I have the same team doing 5 years, like 3-4 years back, the same team is today also doing the same activity, but now focusing on other activities as well, which is like talking to the distributors, talking
that's
to
right.
checking their stock statements, trying to get into different other products like channel partner management and other things. Okay, so what does this tool do is that we have a clear portal where stockists can clearly select what products they want instead of just emailing it, and it's like more of an Amazon kind of an experience that we give them, and it directly ports into our SAP system. The of course, there are, when you look at customers, many distributors are different. Okay, so we face some of the challenges in convincing the distributors to also adapt, but with COVID-19 coming in, where everyone was sitting at home, the adoption of Alchem Marketplace took a speed from 20%. Today, I would say we are at 96%. So 96% of our orders are coming digitally. Also, to add to it, we have consistently looked at adapting to the new technologies like AI ML. So there were few distributors who, when we take feedbacks, they were talking about saying that I have my system. Why do I actually go to your system and then enter order? So we gave them that flexibility also. We said, like, anything you want to send it by Excel, send it to us. You want to send it by email, send it to us. You want to send a PDF thing, send it to us. You want to send it on WhatsApp, send it to us. So we have our Alchem Marketplace tool, which is an AI and ML base, which reads the algorithm, reads the order, and today the algorithm is so much trained that the accuracy level is at 99.8%. So that's the kind of I would say magic digitization done. Now, when I say that, it doesn't mean that it's when we were introducing it, there were a lot of questions saying that what will happen to us, what will happen to the SAP operators. So it is, my simple answer was that nothing will happen. Only thing, your job will enrich. What we were doing earlier is already automated. Now you never had time to even interact with the distributors. Now you'll actually will pick up another project called channel partner management, where we are talking about now integrating the information of the stockist or the stockist ERP to our network, so that we actually come to know the real time stock and sales at the distributor level. We actually come to know what are the sales happening at a pin code level. So that's a mammoth task which the team is now able to take, because they are freed from the repeated activity, which actually used to take longer time.
I 100% agree with you.
So
Vijay.
that's one example. Similarly, there are many such examples I can talk about with regards to, for example, in the warehousing operations per se. Okay, the picking and packing, how you can speed that up. Okay, we've introduced I would say the barcode systems, which helps in terms of making sure you have the right picking of products, you have the right I would say you're packing the right product and sending the right goods to the market, to the distributors. And in pharma, one of the complexities, it's not only the right product, you have to pick the right batch also. So at a batch level, maybe the products are same. Let's say Pan D batch number 1, Pan D batch number 2. But if my system says batch number 1, you have to pick batch number 1 only, and that's what we say accurate picking. Otherwise, even if you pick batch number 2, that's not the right way to it. So the system is designed in such a way that it's a wave picking line, which clearly maps where you have actually stored your product and the efficiency of it. It's so that, like, even the month-end orders today that we get, we are able to actually deliver them post 2nd of the next month. So that's the speed of execution. So automation definitely helps in terms of giving you that particular leverage as well. Another topic that, I mean, of course, we've implemented several. One of the topics that I would say is close to my heart is the TMS system, the transportation management
Correct.
system. In today's world, like any customer, if it comes to know that when he has placed the order, when when it's getting manufactured, when it is getting picked, when it is
Yeah.
getting packed, and when who is actually getting it, I think if you can bring that visibility on the table, you're creating that wow effect for your
Exactly.
organization.
Exactly.
And that is what Alchem is doing. So we have already implemented this for our domestic business. Next year we will actually take it to phase 2 for the international business as well.
Fantastic. And I believe this the automation and digitization also increases the efficiency and the productivity of people. They get enough time to upgrade their skill sets.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And-
Now earlier nobody was analyzing the data. Now you are
Exactly.
looking at analyzing the data.
And that's true.
Okay. Now you're looking at what's happening across. Now the team who was earlier looking at only talking about this order has come and I want to just execute now. The same team is talking about there's a strike going to happen in US.
Yes.
Next 3-4 days are very crucial. We have to just monitor that. What is that impact of that particular strike? Will the freight rates, the sea freight rates will go high? We already have a challenging situation in India because we don't have that much of space available to actually move our cargoes because freight rates are already high.
Exactly.
This will further build pressure in terms of the freight rates by air soaring up.
Absolutely.
So what are the other options that we can evaluate?
Absolutely.
Okay, and that's how it actually goes. It has a cascading effect to look at your inventory levels. What is your inventory levels at your different country levels? How are you going to make sure they will reach the destination on time and you will not have any customer complaints or any FTS or any penalties that you need to pay? So these are some of the topics that we now start talking, discussing, and
fantastic.
investing on.
And one of the area very close to me is you touched upon data, and I believe that data is the oil for future. The more you have it, the more analytical skills and tools you have to analyze the data. You can do your planning, demand forecasting, demand planning. You can also look at your supply side of it, like how it reaches out. Maybe you can cut cost on your inventory management and all those areas. So there are so many
Absolutely,
things which can be
absolutely.
done with that.
Absolutely.
100% agree. And you touched the right thing, when you talked about the inventory management. So what all the practices do you have in place and what are the challenges which you are facing today?
See, as I said, with the global, I would say, the disruption which is happening, we are very clear this is going to stay,
Yeah.
and somewhere or the other, whether it is Israel doing something or
Yeah,
US doing
disruptions are not going
something,
anywhere.
China doing something,
Yes, yes.
this is definitely going to
Yes.
be there in we can't be away from it. So
Yes.
in this situation, how would you make sure that you have the right plan? How can you make sure you are able to manufacture, you have the right capacities to actually even deliver that? So I think looking at those scenarios, you can only look at how do you, I would say, de-risk it. Okay, so from a capacity perspective, when we looked at our plant, so today it is every operation that we look at whether do we have an alternative methodology to actually cater to it. Okay, for example, I think in the earlier question Devang talked about multimodal as well. So multimodal came in place. We used a lot of
Yes.
multimodal way of looking at it. We also now look at, if I have a single plant, what happens to this particular plant if something happens to my plant, which is a regulated plant, and I'm not able to supply, how will my I would say future course of reliability be with my customers? So these are some of the actions that we actually work on. Collaborate with our cross-functional team, be it procurement, be it manufacturing, and make sure we have the right inventory. At the same time, from a demand planning perspective, we also keep consistently engaging with the sales and marketing team to understand what's happening, particularly in the domestic market. If there is, it's not that if I have manufactured it and next 2 months stocks is available and then we are shut. No, the team actually looks at every week what's the trend, why a particular product is selling more, and then we actually get slightly curious in terms of saying that what's happening. And we definitely get good insights in some stuff, maybe because of yeah, there is certain flu, and I would say a particular sickness is very prevalent in parts of the country because rains have happened, because of which the demand has surged.
So you do the demand forecasting.
Yes. So we also collaborate. So today, in today's challenging environment, I would say, with many pharma companies pitching in within the same therapeutic segment, it is also not easy for our sales and
I understand.
marketing folks to actually make inwards. I would say whatever prescription is getting generated, our objective is to make sure we have the right inventory levels at each distribution point so that none of the prescriptions should get bounced.
Yeah. That's
So
true.
that's how we are actually widening our network, our distributors network, and making sure that the right inventory is available. Earlier, there used to be a like a thought process of saying that inventory is more of, I would say, your working capital is getting blocked.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I agree with that particular point. But if you have visibility of what stock is available at your distributor's level, I would say you can definitely reduce your inventory, as well as you will be able to supply and make sure the more I would say the percentage of reliability would increase with your customers and your distributors over a period of time. Okay,
That's true.
because in as a situation, you don't know how much distributors keeping. Okay, whether your US customers or whether your India distributors, they have 30 days products, 40 days products. Now if we get to know distributors real sales which is happening on a daily basis, and we can monitor those patterns, analyze them,
Yeah.
then we are in a much better situation of making sure that okay, this is how it is.
Yeah.
Because in pharma, it's science. It's not that okay, the order has come and just you can give it in within one day. Okay, it is from sourcing of material which may take 2 or 3 months. It is manufacturing which may take a month's time.
Yeah.
It may be shipping by sea. It may take again 10 days to 75 days anytime, and then it reaches us by the time the demand generation. So your forecasting, I would say, process needs to be also robust in making sure you have the right demand.
Yeah,
And that's how
that's
we actually make sure we engage with our sales and marketing to get the right inputs, and accordingly look into the past information, historical trends, and make sure we have the right inventory levels.
Yeah. And I think scenario planning is very critical.
Absolutely.
For this, very
Absolutely.
critical for this.
Absolutely.
And you
And
also
then-
look at. Sorry.
And there are opportunities as well. So when you look at, so one is looking at, I would say within the organization, but outside in perspective really plays a role. And that's where supply chain professionals like us actually add value to the business, where let's say next company has got some observations because of certain non-compliance at the plant, which means that a particular range of products from that company's gear which was sold in that market will now be not sold. And hence, if we are in that particular product category, that orders are definitely going to come. And whenever we analyze the past trend, we have seen that this is what has happened. Now we have become more, I would say, more sensitive to this by like making sure that, okay, this is where it is. And that's where now we're talking about how do we enhance capacities. Okay, because the I would not say the more capacity is good, but I would say one should definitely have good capacity, at least like, for example, 130-40% of the capacity should be available to make sure cater to the opportunities as well.
Correct. So it's a very scientific approach. It's a very
Exactly.
scientific approach. Very nice. So Vijay, what are the ESG CSR initiatives towards supply chain taken by your company?
So TMS, as I said, is one of the initiatives that we initiated. So what we are looking at is today, when we evaluate our data compared to earlier past, we were using what kind of truck types are we using, okay? And then now we are looking at, can we use a high capacity vehicle, okay? How we can reduce the number of miles, the diesel usages per
That's
truck definitely goes down. Milk run is another example. For cold chain movement, for Alchem, we make sure we club the shipments and make sure we do a route planning. And within that particular route, rather than sending it by air, okay, we make sure that's how one of the actions. WMS systems, where we talked about smart green initiatives. Earlier, what used to happen is whenever there used to be an order, the pick list used to be pick list was generated, and the outbound documents were also generated. Basis which the picking activity would start at the warehouse, and then the packing, and finally the invoicing. So all documentation trails were created, which we used to even store, I would say, documents at our respective warehouses and depots. Now what has happened with introduction of smart green initiative, once the order is created, the pick list information is available on the tab
Okay.
on the device itself. So you can just click it,
Yeah.
no paper required, and you actually eliminate that waste. Okay. Also, from a warehousing perspective, what we have done is that we have now looked at whenever we move in terms of changing our warehouses or upgrading our facilities, we will look at few things, which means our Panvel facility today is 100% solar. Okay, all the electricity is be generated basis that, and whatever rainwater harvesting, so these are some of the parameters that we look at when we actually look at venturing into any or partnering with any 3PL or any CFA. Okay.
Fantastic. Wonderful.
CSR, Alchem has contributing generously. I would say you must have also heard on newspapers that we've collaborated with Tata and contributed almost over 100 crores worth of rupees for building of a cancer hospital in Muzaffarpur, near Muzaffarpur. And there are many such initiatives that we plan over a period of, because as a corporate organization, it's also mandatory also from the government agencies to actually go in that direction.
Yeah.
So I just gave you few examples.
Fantastic. I think you are doing a great job that way, I would say. Thank you so much.
It's not me; it's the organization
Yeah, of course,
which is doing this.
It's the organization.
Our management is very much generous in terms of giving back to the society as well, and that's how this has come up.
It's very committed, and I think it all comes from the commitment that you give back. And I think it's also, as I mentioned, that it's how do you balance your profits with purpose.
Absolutely.
That is critical.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Vijay. Thank
Pleasure's
you so much,
mine.
Vijay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, hi Mehul. Thanks for coming over. The supply chains in the pharma industry are becoming increasingly complex. So, my first question to you is what are the roles of forecasting and mechanism used for this?
All right. Thanks, Jitendra, for inviting me and for this fantastic podcast that we're having, one of its kind. Forecasting is a very interesting topic. I consider forecasting as the mother of all the problems that the supply chain faces internally.
Yes.
Right? Something that is external, what we were talking earlier, is beyond our control. We can't even think about it at this point of time. The biggest thing for forecasting is all about collaboration. It's a mindful activity. Earlier, forecasting used to be only demand planning, demand forecasting. But we need to see even the supply forecasting.
Yes.
It's a collaboration of both these activity. That's forecasting. How does it relate to, or what are the problems? Today, if we see, the entire world is one big city. As simple as that, right? As we have it in Mumbai, multicultural way of living. Forecasting will have a multicultural people, different brains, different thought processes. When we do the forecasting, and when I say collaboration, it's a collaboration between finance, between commercial team, sales and marketing, between the accounts, finance team, right? Because it's when we do the sales demand forecasting, there's a planning that needs to be done from the finance point of view also. Forecasting, if we consider it as an isolated topic, it will lead you nowhere. Many a times there are mechanisms by which forecasting is measured. We say it forecast accuracy measurement. Most of the companies, they work on forecast accuracy monitoring with a lesser lead times or with a lesser leg months. right? I can measure my forecast accuracy with M1, M2, but does that lead to anything? Answer is probably no. I say it probably.
Mm-hmm.
My lead time for procurement would be 5 to 6 months. But if I'm measuring my forecast accuracy for just a month or two, then that's where I can go inaccurate.
Mm-hmm.
I may achieve my 80, 90, 95% forecast accuracy, but it may not lead to the replenishment of the inventory. Why? Because I achieved my M1, M2 forecasting,
Mm-hmm.
but I could not make goods available because of the longer lead time. The reaction time is lesser.
Okay. Okay.
So when we talk of forecasting, I usually say this to the aspiring students and the newbies who join the supply chain industry or the pharma industry. The forecasting is nothing but something that your mother does in her kitchen. Yeah, there are forecasting which is done for the whole year, where you order your food grains, right, for the whole year. She does the forecasting, right?
Yeah.
Three people in the house.
Mm.
Sometimes there's an event, there would be 10 people coming in. So an average of this is what I will be requiring.
Yeah.
There are forecasting which is done on daily basis. Milk, your groceries, right? There are forecasting which is done on monthly basis, when you have to order the sugar,
Yes.
salt. So that's how the forecasting actually works.
Mhm.
And when you see how it is in the pharma industry, it is more from the collaboration point of view, right? There are a lot of regulatory hurdles that comes in.
Mm-hmm.
You need to forecast that. There are external factors, right? You can't forecast with 100% accuracy.
Correct.
But when you do your supply forecasting, you need to factor those items. The what if, as you were saying about scenario planning.
Correct.
What if scenarios is it should not be looked upon only from the cost point of view
Mm-hmm.
or working capital point of view, because you go wrong in your forecasting, you go wrong in your replenishment, you go wrong in your
Correct.
in meeting the market
Correct.
dynamics. So this is how I personally would prefer forecasting to be.
Okay. Okay. I think you made it very clear, and I think that is the way to go for. Otherwise, if you are not matching your planning with the supply and demand both taking into account,
There has to be, it's a marriage of both the
yeah,
scenarios.
it's both. You know.
And collaboration. Earlier there was a time when budgets were given by finance,
Mm-hmm.
and the supply chain, the so-called distribution and logistics function in those days
Mm-hmm.
were just supposed to make goods available as per the budget.
Yeah. Correct.
There was no partnership.
Yes. Yes.
Today forecasting is actually the mother of all the problems that the supply chain function would face. You go wrong in your forecasting,
Mm.
you create pressure within your entire team.
Yeah. Correct.
Faster, making the goods faster available at the locations,
Mm-hmm.
as Vijay was saying about CFA locations. So after GST there has been a consolidation, but still on an average 19 to 20 CFAs are still existing in the industry.
Yeah.
We can't let go of it because of the logistics complications that we live in,
Correct.
right?
And
So
both cannot go wrong. If supply goes wrong, you have got not available in the market, for example, your sales team could not meet the budget. And if your demand goes wrong, you have got excess inventory sitting there, which
Exactly.
is of no use.
so you create problem for everyone.
Yeah, for everyone, exactly.
And in the end, mother of all the problems would become a cost.
That's true. Yeah. So, Mehul, I mean, what are some of the major bottlenecks you see in today's operations?
Supply chain has been filled with all the challenges. Daily basis, you see some or the other challenges. To top up in the chart is basically the most important, something that should actually be existing as well, is the regulatory complexities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if the environment is not regulated, even in the Western world, it would be creating a problem, not just from the India context.
Yeah.
So regulatory complexities, because we are dealing with human health,
Mm-hmm.
you just can't let go of those complexities.
Yeah, true.
You have to be in those complex, compliant environment.
Very true.
Business comes second. First is the human health,
Yeah. of
a
course.
responsibility as a custodian and as a caretaker of the human health. So regulatory complexity is there, will be there, and should be there. Right? We have everyone in pharma industry has to work within the framework of regulatory compliances.
Correct.
And more stringent it is, better it is for the industry.
Right.
Number 2, integration of the technology. The entire world today is obsessed with the digitization, right? We are from, this is a time where a supply chain person who is not digitally savvy or has not been using digital solutions too much may feel left out.
Correct.
I'm not within the crowd. But the most important thing in digital solution is to analyze what problem am I going to solve with it. Right? Do I really need a digital solution? I say this from the every aspect. I can have a fancy forecasting tools, but what if it is not meeting? I mean, I'm putting more efforts in gigo activities, right? Garbage in, garbage out. I'm putting more efforts to align with the commercial colleague, ask him to go into the system, place his numbers, right? So I'm not solving my problem. I'm creating a new problem.
Correct.
And any digital solution without a human touch can be irrelevant.
Right.
I'll rather prefer working on Excel. Right? That will give me quicker solutions. My decision making can be faster.
Right.
Beyond this, to go for the digital solutions, it's still very costly affair. We still don't have, at least from the India context, we have expensive solutions still in the market. So not all the organizations problem can be fit through the digital solution. Rather, the organization will appoint 2 more person working on this activity, which will be lesser expensive than my maintenance cost of the digital solution.
True.
Another problem or the bottleneck. We all know India is labeled as a pharmacy of the world, and we want to be the pharmacy of the world.
Correct.
The 50 billion industry today, $50 billion industry today, in next 7 to 8 years, it is expected to grow by 30 CAGR. With this, there are immense opportunities, and with opportunities, there comes the risk.
Correct.
Right? Risk of counterfeiting, risk of traceability. Right? You can have huge budgets, huge aspirations. There are sales happening, but what if those sales that are happening is not within the geographical region where it is supposed to be? How would you know? As he said, the visibility is only up to the distributor level.
Correct.
Beyond that, we don't know. Traceability or end-to-end visibility is the biggest problem that the industry is facing as of now.
True.
Government is putting immense pressure or are taking a lot of measures to overcome this. For more than a decade, industry did not accept the fact of having the barcoding and QR coding.
Correct.
It was only last year when first time the list of 300 products came out with the need of barcoding. Every company having those products went for it, got implemented. It came with a deadline of 3 months. Everyone implemented. So that is doable, right?
Yeah, correct.
And that's where I say that the stricter regulations has to be in place, and we should welcome it rather than cribbing about how complex it is.
Yeah, correct. You're right.
So fighting the counterfeiting will be the biggest challenge for next 5 to 10 years. It is still there. It has been there in past as well, but this will increase in future. It will not come down. The intentions would not be clean probably.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
In the market. And that's where we as a compliant organizations, pharma company, dealing with the health, have to ensure that stricter measures or actions are taken from the company point of view also.
Correct.
However, sounds very fancy, very good, very nice. The challenge is implementing from the cost point of view. That challenge will always be there, has been there for more than 2 decades since I am working.
Correct.
Had been there in past, will be there in future as
It will
well.
always be there, yes.
But there is life beyond cost. is what an acceptance has to be there
Mm-hmm.
from the supply chain side, from the business side, and it also related to the brand image.
Yeah, yeah.
That what image you want to create when a company is going out and a patient is seeing a product, and what does he see?
Very right, very right. So Mehul, what are the emerging trends we should be aware of in the pharma supply chain today?
When we talk of bottlenecks,
Mm-hmm.
that's where the opportunities lie, right? Regulatory complexity.
Mm-hmm.
In past a decade, if you'll see, warehousing, the thought process of the warehousing activity
Mm-hmm.
more than a decade back is very different than how it is today,
Yeah.
right? As I say, regulatory complexities, the stringent requirement of barcoding, QR coding, track and trace,
Mhm.
which if implemented at plant level
Mm.
will be more costlier. But when you implement it at a warehouse level, on the need based, right, it can be cheaper.
Yeah.
Today, warehousing, if you'll go to a pharma warehouse, it's not just a normal warehouse like it used to be a decade back.
Mm-hmm.
They work in a more compliant manner, a bit lesser than how it is in plant.
Yeah, correct.
The activity of QR coding, barcoding, track and trace measures are done in a controlled environment, and people have welcomed it.
Yeah.
Right? So more regulatory compliance in the supply chain network will be the trend.
Mm-hmm.
Government will come with more stricter rules,
Yeah, yeah.
not just for the pharma companies, but even for the 1.5 million pharmacies that are there in the market in India. And that has to be there.
Yeah, it is required also. Yeah.
It is required.
Yeah, that's true. So.
Second is on the sustainability.
Mm-hmm.
When we discuss with any of the logistics service provider, still in India, most of the logistics service provider, okay, they focus on the lead time or the transit time, the cost,
Mm-hmm.
right? Every time we say, please go and think beyond this now. What you are providing, there are n number of players who are providing it. So let's not discuss on this. Talk about how sustainable your logistics service would be.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a warehouse facility which is solar driven, right? Do you have a transportation facility? Do you have as a company policy?
Yeah, yeah, correct.
Do you have a mission or a vision to go for the green energy supply networking?
Mm-hmm.
Many of them are already doing it, but they are skeptical in sharing those information.
Mm.
Why? Because they know as soon as we share that, they will come and ask us to reduce the cost.
Yeah, correct.
Right? So that is also another problem. But as a trend, the sustainability. I mean, we have spoken some of the warehouses
Mm-hmm.
who are also willing to go for the solar equipped, as he said about Elchem has already implemented.
Mm-hmm.
So there are CFA networks, there are distribution partners who want to go for that. But just because it's just 1 or 2 person asking it, it's not implemented in mass.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, if there's again a regulation
Mm-hmm.
where government comes up with some fancy incentives,
Yeah.
then they have it now. Or if they come up with some rules about implementing this in some or the other way,
Mm-hmm.
it would become a compulsion.
Correct.
And it would get implemented within 6 months' time.
That's true.
But right now, because of the investment, because of the benefit that the sum may have to pass, they are skeptical in sharing
Mhm.
it. But eventually, this will become a minimum requirement going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are talking about climate changes. Today, see the humidity level that India has. I mean, WHO has already increased the humidity level for India,
Yeah, that's true.
right? So we can already feel it,
Correct.
regardless of what the data shows. You can already
Mhm.
feel
Yeah,
it.
you can feel it. Yes.
And we, as a responsible citizen of the not just India but even for the Mother Earth,
Yeah.
we have to go for that. And it will start from the big companies operating in the company.
Correct.
When we go and ask someone that this is what you need to do or this is what you have to show if you want to impress us. So that's how it will start.
Yeah. I think the entire supply chain has to go that way.
Yes.
Complete end to end.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the digital front also, there would be an emerging trend. your normal digital solution will not predict
Mm.
your normal illness,
Yeah.
right? AI driven, data driven, machine learning, it will be in the forefront in future, and it will, a decade down the line, it will be emerging, it will be becoming a minimum thing to have in the organization. See, right, when in 90s mobile came in 90s, right? When did that evolve? After 2010,
Correct.
when smart mobiles came in.
Mm-hmm.
So it took a generation change.
Yeah.
So that's how this will happen. Couple of just 6 months prior to COVID, there was a post I had read on LinkedIn saying that we have probably reached the peak of the IT thing,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be like bubble.
Mm.
Even at that point, I was very clear that we have reached nowhere.
Yeah. Correct.
We are nowhere at present.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What AI can do is unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Yes.
You don't need to have all the answers.
Yeah.
You just know where to reach to get the answer. Everything will be ready made. Your forecasting tool will need your AI enabled thing. Your TMS system will have to have AI enabled thing.
Mm-hmm.
There are few events in the world that is going on which needs to be captured effectively, and that's what the capability of AI.
Yeah.
Not your system, normal system tool developed by any IT.
Yeah,
People
that's
will create those kind of a visibility or those kind of a scenario thing.
Yeah. In fact, somebody was telling me, I mean, I was just having a conversation last week that he was telling me it's the phases. The artificial intelligence is happening in phases, and it's scary. Eh? So he says that today we are at a sub level where the machine is learning from us, so from humans. So we are still ahead of the AI. Still, it is artificial, and it will reach to a subpar level, or where there will be a time when both the machine and the humans will know exactly each other, and they will be working independently of human. And then will be the third phase where the AI will be stronger than human intelligence, and that is the scary part when machine will start taking over things. So I don't know technology is going to stop where and at what level.
At
what
least
is
for
there
next
in
2 decades,
store,
my perspective says at least for 2 decades, every year or maybe once in every 2 or 3 years, there would be something that you will be surprised with.
Yeah, correct. That's true.
Right. Just one last point. Just 8 to 9 or 10 months back, who had imagined that you can go to a website, you can raise your question, you will get 100 options,
Yeah.
and that's what you just place it. And
That's
people
true.
have become smarter to read whether that was this ChatGPT created answer or that is your own brains, right?
Yeah.
But there are other tools who says that humanize it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah,
this will evolve, right? Virtual world will evolve, but again, that's something very futuristic.
know.
10 probably 10 years down the line. But all important is to adopt
Yeah,
or accept that this is going to come. Accept it, adopt it.
exactly. So maybe you touched on the end-to-end visibility. So how do you think we can improve end-to-end visibility across the supply chains?
See, end-to-end visibility is a pain area across the world, right? Our complexities are, we are a country with 1.5 billion people, 1.5 million pharmacies.
Mm.
We still, there are more rural areas than we
Yeah,
have
yeah.
urbanized, right? The second largest could have been probably China with around 4 lakh pharmacies. We have 1.5 lakhs, right? Almost more than 3.5 times. More the involvement, more the people, more the data, more the thing, complex it becomes. End to end visibility, number one, what I would prefer or what I would see coming in future, with the growth trajectory that we are planning or India is planning in next 5 to 10 years, is the regulations. Every country, I mean, name any country who has a better visibility, end to end visibility thing. It starts with the regulations.
Correct.
So that's what is important. It would not be an easy walk. It would be very, very painful for the supply chain. I mean, if I tell Devang and Vijay that okay, this is the regulation coming in, the first reaction in mind would be like this. What the hell?
Yeah.
But eventually that is the beginning of something greater and something bigger. Government is very much focused, right, on the compliance aspect, curbing the uh, counterfeiting, traceability. So that will
Yeah.
eventually come, but it would take some time. And so the point is, the regulation will play an important role. Number two is, uh, even with the regulations, there are high chances that it would not be met, because again we have a huge pool with what we are playing with,
Mhm.
right? So there would be something that fancies me, or that impresses me, is the IoT GPS driven thing,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? This is one of the solution, or one of the thing that I would personally want to implement somewhere,
Mhm.
right? Again, with this GPS driven thing, it's very, very costly affair.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the biggest pain. I mean, for the entire supply chain fraternity, cost maintenance is the biggest thing that is always,
Mhm.
there's a pressure. So this end to end visibility also will be coming with a lot of
Additional
cost.
cost, yes.
So he talked about it, about implementing the end to end visibility, having distributor. That's the project that is running. And personally, I would be very much impressed and very much interested to see how things are working on that front, because
Yeah.
that's something very, very and absolutely great. Yeah, no matter whatever systems you place, no matter whatever, as of now, no matter whatever agencies you contract with are paying high value or so, still your efficiency or the result out of it would not cross beyond 40 to 50%.
Mhm. That's interesting. Yeah. So as we move towards the end of this session, I would like to open floor for audience questions. It's always insightful to hear from those on the front lines of the industry, and your inputs help these important conversations. Yeah. So, some of the questions from our listeners. What do you see as the biggest logistical challenge in ensuring the efficient distribution of life-saving medications in your region? Whether it is infrastructure, compliance, or cold chain management? We'd love to hear your thoughts about it.
I would say it would be all three. Okay.
Mhm.
So, and in all three sectors, I would say whether it is infrastructure, cold chain, and the third one was
Compliance.
compliance. Okay. So, first, I would say more and more logistics companies have now become complied to what are the requirements of a pharma industry is. Okay, so it's not I would say we're talking Greek or Latin language to them. So any logistical partner that we partner with, earlier when we used to do the risk assessment, we used to go through a lot of questionnaires and make sure that the logistics service provider is making sure he's following, and their team members are also following. So we would partner in such a way.
Yeah.
Now it has so happened is that we see a new change wherein the logistics service providers are coming up with solutions saying that for a farmer, we understand this is how we are going to take it, this is how we're going to manage it, this is what the packaging solutions are, whether it is for 2 to 8 degrees, whether it is minus 2 to 8 degrees, whether it is for 15 to 25. And for every temperature sensitive products, there are different range of solutions available today. And with the visibility that is also available today now with certain devices, not only data loggers, but with certain devices which can give you clearly temperature monitoring from all, and making sure the tracking of whether it is in the airline or whether it is in the shipping, whether it is in the sea, today you can track them. Okay. And the moment you can set even alerts. Okay, so we did one small POC where we actually it was I would say on the ground displayed by the logistics service provider, saying that if it goes beyond this, automatically there will be an alert, and how everyone will actually react to it before the situation worsens.
Correct.
So I think all this risk management activity pertaining to cold chain, the infrastructure that is there, it is actually making I would say the situation has actually improved now, I would say.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vijay. The next question is, what role do you think technology will play in the future of pharma logistics, especially in terms of improving transparency and visibility across supply chain?
So I think much of this thing already answered by Vijay and Mehul, that a lot of disruptions already has taken place in terms of TMS, WMS, the IoT things. I just wanted to add one point was that he talked about the devices. There are today devices available with the GPS, which will not only throw you the data log or the accurate information about the temperatures, but it will also throw you information about where the actual your cargo is lying. in which part ultimately.
Okay.
So this will start giving you that kind of notifications where it will be easy for you to react. That is one part. Today, the second thing is about the technologies, how the people are engaging. It's not only pharma manufacturer who does all the SAP or so much of IoT things they are doing it. Today, the partners engaged in these entire activities, they are also throwing a lot of data, a lot of information that is up to the hands of the logistics service providers and the manufacturer. How do they want to use it?
Correct.
They can use it. Today, these are very fragile. These are very available in a very corner kind of thing. It's high time that we come in a close consensus and then we can use it. There are certain things which are available on the .NET, which is a very open tool,
Yeah,
a cloud
yeah.
kind of thing.
Correct.
But it has got its own perils wherein these kind of informations are then available into some kind of I would not say a different way, but it is how you are trying to restrict your information which are not publicly available.
Correct.
But it is it is used by engaging all the partners.
Perfect.
I would like to add one thing on technology. I would say it's not only R&D or product. New products have to be coming. Okay, so if we have to consistently challenge the status quo, which means that today in the supply chain and the logistics space, if you don't consistently look at improving things, I think one of the ways technology enables it is to make sure by integrating with different partners. Okay, today you don't even talk to one logistics partner, or you don't have one facility, you don't have only one supplier, or you don't have one, I would say, customers. You have areas of customers. And with the technological boom which has taken, it is possible that you can integrate them into one place and have a control tower where you can actually run your supply chain very effectively and efficiently.
Yes.
See, there's one difference that I would want to note here. What we are right now, what India is right now, China was 1.5 decades back at the same position, right? The biggest blessing that we are having over what China was at that point in time is the technology.
Correct.
Technology advancement. You just imagine something, and you know there is an existence.
Correct.
So when he says about challenging the status quo, it's very simplified at this point in time, right? When challenge comes in, there's no possibility, but you have to create the possibility.
Yeah, true.
But we are in a time where you challenge something and that is there somewhere. You just need to explore where it is, and that too is very easy. Your internet would help you in a very simple manner.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
approaching someone is very simple.
That's true.
Today, for any problem, you just Google it. You'll get n number of solutions.
Yeah, that's right.
It's very easy. So there is a lot of data. There are a lot of solutions available. It is how you want to explore it and you want to put it to your use.
Yeah, but I think one of the challenges is the veracity of the data. You have a lot of data available, but nobody is really.
Yeah, you can't get 100% of the
Exactly.
answers, right?
You need to authenticate.
You need to
ultimately.
You can't get 100%
That's
accurate
the
answer.
pitfall,
I mean, even if you get 30, 40, 20, 30, 40%, that is enough for you to
to at
explore
least
the
keep to
further
an eye.
possibilities.
Exactly. See, you don't need to start from the scratch.
Exactly.
At least you have something.
Exactly. Yeah, correct.
From there, you have to just build on.
100%. Yeah. So the last question is that how can smaller logistics firms effectively compete with larger players in the pharma supply chain space?
If you'll ask me from the India point of view, smaller logistics firm have a winning edge over the larger logistics firm. They are more flexible. They are more agile.
Correct.
Right. When we talk from name any bigger logistics service provider. You get all the fancy things that you require, which sounds very good, very nice. But when you're stuck at 1 a.m. at night, 2 a.m. at night, and you need some help,
Yeah, correct.
the smaller companies are always standing besides you. I say this without an intention to demean any of it. I say this from the India perspective, right? The same thing would not be correct from the Western country point of view, right? Even the smaller would say no to you, right? But from the India point of view, there's something that we always say, jugaad. It is always taken in a negative sense,
Yeah,
right,
that's
in
true.
the world. But there's a lot of winning edge over this mindset.
I think it's flexibility. It's
That's
more
all about flexibility,
Yeah.
agility, speed, everything. I mean, you say a problem, you just give a call and your problem is solved within no minutes,
Yeah, that's true.
right? But for the smaller entities, what happens when you have to reach, like say, a distance of something that is covered in an hour, but you want to cover it in 30 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
There are two ways. You increase your speed to the maximum allowed speed. Second is increase the speed regardless of what is allowed, right? So second one is a non-compliant thing. The first one is a compliant thing. You are exploring the compliance to the fullest, right? So the smaller entities have to learn how they can sync the regulatory requirements plus the speed and the hunger of growth, hunger to serve the customers. They have to
Very well
integrate
said.
the mindset, and that's where they can ace it up.
Very well said.
I would summarize, they know how to become a customer delight and prove their existence to compete with the larger players. Ultimately,
100%.
so like how Mehul pointed out, they will always have that edge with a limited pool of manpower. They will be able to service the customers in a
Yeah,
more
yeah.
better way rather than. So again, we are not trying to put it across any kind of thoughts. It is all individual, but there is a hierarchy here. A customer, a person who is engaged, he will make sure that everything is delivered from pin to click, and though it's a compliant also.
And there is one biggest reason, just to add last point on this, there is one biggest reason why the larger pharma companies are still operating with CFA operators.
Mm-hmm.
They are not going into the 3PL, 4PL,
Yeah, yeah, that's
5PL. I don't know how many PLs will be coming in future,
Correct.
but they are not still moving into those kind of professional 4PL, 5PL service providers. This is one of the biggest reasons.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
And with the cost advantage that is there.
correct.
But even to the CFAs, we usually say them that you have to learn what the 4PL, 5PL are doing.
Yeah.
Adopt those kind of mindset. I mean, you cannot just keep your stuffs over here, sit over here and do the billing and you can
Yeah.
show your agility. That will not work. If someone from outside will come and see, they will be like sacking you right away.
That's true. That's true.
Right. So adopt the style of working from the 4PL,
Yeah.
5PL.
But they are more personalized. They are
Yes.
more,
And on the other side, even the larger players that are there, professional with global presence and all, for them also it is important to understand how the speed is,
Yeah.
the ways of working is from the smaller one. So it's a two-way process.
Yeah, 100%.
See, I tell you, 3PL, 4PL is only going to increase your PNL.
Yeah.
The PLs will just increase your PNL cost.
Yes.
Ultimately.
Nothing else.
It's not going to.
I think the basic understanding of business is very crucial, and
Absolutely.
what has to be delivered, that has to be very crucial. So, if I look at it, sometimes it's what I have, I'll give it to you, rather than understanding that what you want and then I give it to you.
Exactly,
That is the
exactly.
difference.
I think I was just coming up to that is customizing a solution for your customer. If a smaller logistics firms have to grow, they have to look at something which is niche, where they are the only ones who can do that best.
Yeah,
Okay,
correct.
and even the larger players would come to them to make sure, okay, this is how it is. So they should be master in doing those
That's
kind
true.
of things.
That's
Okay,
true.
and the other aspect, as Mehul and Devang talked about, is to also make sure the customer delight. Knowing your customer, know your customer's business is also very keen, rather than just selling standardized solutions.
Perfect.
I'll just give you one perspective, like
Yeah.
Mehul pointed out. Today, we are talking to all the logistics service provider. The logistics service providers, nobody talks about how they can engage. Today, they will just come with a solution. I have got the rate. I have got this partnership, that partnership. Have anyone taken this responsibility that I will make sure the cargo is received over there? It's been delivered. It's been picked up. It has been safely received by your warehouse. That is part number one. The other thing is the another strategic compliances over here in India, the incentives, the drawbacks, the data which is necessary by the airline and the shipping line loaded onto the servers, ice gate,
Correct.
the EGM proper
The
filings,
EGM proper. Yeah.
which are very, very important.
So as we wrap up, I'd like to thank all our panelists, Devang, Vijay, and Mehul, for sharing their valuable insights today. We have covered a wide range of topics, and it's clear that while pharma and logistics sector faces challenges, it also holds tremendous opportunity for anyone who is ready to innovate and adapt. So, before we close out today's session, we have a special request from you. As a token of appreciation for your participation, we would be handing out the basketballs if you can sign it.
Sure.
It's a symbol of our teamwork, collaboration, and the spirit of innovation for the industry. And it will be a prized possession which will keep it with us.
Oh.
Thank you all for listening to this special edition of TriNext podcast. I encourage you to continue these important conversations in your own organizations and communities. Let's work together to ensure that the pharma supply chain is as efficient, sustainable, and resilient as possible. Until next time, this is Jiten Shrivastava signing off.